Hello, I'm Hannah. I have an obscene amount of makeup and clothing, and I am on a quest to have a more curated collection. I had pre-ordered the Adept Plain Jane palette in early December, I believe, and I just got it, and I am so excited to talk about it and to swatch it today. You might notice I have one shade that's missing from it, and it's just right here. When I ordered this, I had every intention of just popping out every shade and having it operate as singles, and I probably will still do that, but there's no beautiful way to pop them out. Like, they are magnetic, but you have to use a depotting tool and there's not a lot of room. So after I popped this one out, I didn't really want to pop it back in and then have to worry about popping it out again. And this is actually my whole Adept singles collection. These are my older ones that I'm not going to talk about today, but I could talk about in the future. These are their 4 new single shadows that are also in this iridescent formula, and I'm also going to swatch these today. I will just mention ACD5 because I think that's how this whole iridescent thing from Adept came along. Their shadows, their original shadows, can be a little hit or miss for me. I haven't used the mattes in a little bit, but when I first got them, I just wasn't that excited about the mattes. And the shimmers, I do look forward to revisiting them, but I thought they were kind of okay. But when I saw people online raving about this, and I mean, even just in the pan, it looks incredible. I had to get this one, and this one is the same formula as the new ones. So you can see it's intensely sparkly, shifty. It really has a burgundy base and it looks like pink and blue sparkles on top of that. A lot of their shadows are kind of spongy, and I find that they apply best with your finger, but I did film this eye look that's going to be at the end of the video, and I found that these picked up with a brush better than my previous Adept shadows did. And I actually used 8 of these for this eye look, but that's the only time I've touched this palette, and I'm still going to be swatching for them for the absolute first time right now, including this first one, which is ACI1. In the pan, it looks just like a bronze shadow. This doesn't feel as spongy as the other ones. I have a little bit of staining on the back of my hand from swatching lipsticks last night. So this one's nice, but I can tell that with this formula, they have some that are like this, that are super spongy, super flaky, super reflective, and then some like these that are more just nice metallics. And it's nice, but it doesn't, you know, knock my socks off. Next up is ACI2. This one just looks like a taupey color. And this one feels more flaky, which I like. ACI3 is next up. This looks like a nice rose gold type of color. I use this on the center of my lower lash line. I like that one. It looks very pinky in the swatch. ACI4 is next up. I use that on the center of this lid and on my upper outer crease on this eye. And of all the shadows I've swatched so far, this one did feel the most spongy, like what I think of these iridescent shadows feeling like. Gorgeous. ACI5 looks also like a rose gold metallic, but just looking at it in the pan, I can see more of a gold shift than I can see in ACI3. Yeah, this one's definitely very shifty. ACI6 is so gorgeous. This looks like a blue and lavender mix. I think that's going to be one of the stars of the show. I love shades like that. I think so far it looks like 2 and 6 have the most kind of sparkle reflection, which I really like of these shadows. On to the next row, ACI7. It looks like an orange with green, kind of beige. This one feels a little bit more sheer, but I really like the tone of the reflect in that. ACI8 looks like a blue, but I do know from using this on the inner half of my crease that the blue is more of a reflect and it's less of a base. ACI9 looks kind of like a grungy Kelly green. I used it on my lid here and the outer half of my crease up here. I really like that for a green. These past couple ones, they are more sheer, but I do like that as like an all-over lid shadow that doesn't feel too intense. And I also like it because you can top a color with it. I like it because you can top a brown with it, make it more of a grungy look. There's really a lot you could do with shadows like these. Next up is ACI 10. This is like a white with a pink reflect. I use this in my inner corners and I really was impressed with it. Next up is ACI 11. I know I'm just a sucker for purples, but this one is so gorgeous. Love that. Yeah, you can tell that it's more of a deep purple than that previous purple we had swatched. Last up is ACI 12 that I'd already popped out. This was like a big factor in me wanting this palette because I feel like my collection of single shadows really lacks gorgeous metallic hot pinks. I like it. Just for fun, I'm going to try to build that one up a little bit. Yeah, that builds really nicely. So next up I want to talk about these four, this Iridescent bundle. I have this in this marble double-sided Adept palette, by the way. I have 4 magnetic Adept palettes and I really like them. It looks like for these shadows, 2 of them appear to be more of this metallic formula like this, and then 2 of them appear to be the more sparkly formula like this, so we'll see if that's right. So ACI 13 is this gorgeous red. I find that a lot of my metallic reds in my collection are kind of lackluster. That's something that I do want to go through soon, but I think this might beat all of them out. This is really gorgeous. ACI 14 looks like a metallic teal. That's also super incredible. This is ACI 15. This looks like one of the more sparkly ones, kind of like a sparkly orange, like a creamsicle kind of color. Wow, I could see this being one of my favorites. I really like that. This one actually doesn't have a sticker, but I'm going to deduce that it's ACI 16. It looks like a sparkly teal. My cat just started snoring loudly, so if you can hear that, that's what it is. That one's also beautiful. I feel like that would look really cool in like grungy looks. So those are all the swatches. This is ACD 5. This is the Plain Jane palette all here. And then this is the Iridescent bundle on my palm. I'm really excited to have these in my collection. I really am looking forward to popping them out of the palette and mix and matching them with other shadows to make little groupings and collections. As I think I've mentioned, I think these would lend really well to a one shadow look, so if I end up trying that out tonight, I'm going to pop in the footage right here. I look a little insane right now, but I just wanted to swatch a couple as single shadow looks. And while I do that, I realized I didn't offer any sort of like critical analysis of the palette, so I wanted to do that as well. So I'm going to swatch ACI 2. That shadow looks really nice. A really nice shimmery kind of bronzy gold. So for this palette I paid $62. There's 12 shades, so that averages out to $5.16 a shadow. Another way to think of it is you're paying for basically 8 shades, and then after that you're getting the bargain. The palette, it's exactly the same size as the regular shades. You can and I will pop them out, but honestly for my own use, I don't tend to grab palettes that much. My palettes that I have been kind of languishing in my collection, and I've really been utilizing everything as a single shadow. And if these were offered as single shadows, I would have just picked up a couple instead of buying the whole thing. And also if it was this year and I wasn't on my crazy spending rampage, I'm not sure if I would have picked it up. I'm gonna take ACI 11. Wow. Okay, I don't want to be dramatic, but I do kind of feel like this might be my favorite shimmery purple I have. This palette, I feel like for the most part, it's kind of bronzy and purpley, most of all. And as you saw in the swatches, they're not all this super shimmery light reflecting formula that I love. There are shades like this first one, which is more of like a normal metallic. I would say if you're unsure about whether or not you're gonna get $62 worth of use out of these, or if you know yourself and you know that while you're interested in the super shimmery formula, it's not really for you, or it's not gonna be your everyday thing, I would definitely suggest ACD5. I'm not sure if I said this already, but the owner had said on Instagram that ACD5 is the same formula as what now they're calling ACI, and also those 2 of the 4 that were sold individually, 15 and 16, those were also gorgeous. So for the 3 of those, it would be $24. Now I'm gonna take ACI 7. Wow. I'm crazy about that. So I'm not trying to just blindly gush for this palette here. I do think that it's a lot of money, but when I'm supporting an indie brand, I want to say I don't mind it as much. When you're not mass producing, the overhead costs are higher. So I understand a smaller brand who's not producing in the quantities as Tarte or Urban Decay does have to charge more for their products. But I also think that this is the kind of formula that you're not going to find with more mainstream brands. This is the kind of formula that I love indie shadows for. So if it's within your budget, if it's within your means, and you really like it, you like all of these colors, then I think that you won't be disappointed in it. But if you're less sure about it or less sure about the cost, I think ACD5 is a great option, and maybe that 15 and 16 also if you want to spice it up a little bit. And then I'm going to take ACI 8. It's super pretty. But other than that, I'm going to now show you how I got this super sparkly eye look using 8 of the Plain Jane shades. So I might have said already for you that I think this is a formula that's best applied with a finger. I think it's a formula that's best to be the star of the look, whether it's with a matte setup or just completely on its own. But I do want to try to do some kind of all over super sparkly look with this. So I'm gonna start in with ACI 4. Wow. That's beautiful. Then I'm gonna take ACI 9, which is the green. When I do these 2 different shadow looks, I try to choose colors that are at a similar saturation. For the outer V, I'm gonna take ACI 12, and I'm gonna see if this will work with my Real Techniques shader brush. It's working pretty nicely. I'm gonna take this on the inner third. I don't even know how to describe this color. It looks like this like beigey, orangey green. I can imagine it making a really incredible all over the lid color. Yeah, I think that one has some power to it. Around my inner crease, I'm gonna take ACI 8. This color just looks so clean and fresh. It has like a nice blue reflect, but it's not that blue. Then I'm going to take my lid colors and swap them on the opposite outer creases again. So I'm going to take ACI 4 on this eye and ACI 9 on this eye. These are all picking up pretty nicely with the brush. Now that my base is on, I'm going to pop ACI 10 on my inner corner. It's a gorgeous pinky white shadow. And then for my lower lash line, I think I'm going to take ACI 3 and blend that into ACI 6. And this is the finished eye look in all of its sparkly glory. So that concludes this video about the Plain Jane Adept palette. If you enjoyed this, please consider giving me a thumbs up or subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And there is a lot more indie content to come because that is some of my favorite things in the world. So thank you again for being here.